Have you ever stopped to think about who actually decides what you learn in school? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the master blueprint that shapes our entire educational journey.
I mean, really think about it. Is your entire education, from learning to count all the way to complex literature, just a random grab bag of topics that someone somewhere thought was important? Or is there a bigger, more intentional design at play?
Well, the answer is a huge, resounding no. It is anything but random. Education is a meticulously planned process, a course that's been carefully charted to guide you from one point of understanding to the next.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the grand plan. Then we'll define what a curriculum actually is, look at its 4 core elements, clear up the classic confusion between a curriculum and a syllabus, and finally, dig into why this whole blueprint matters so much. All right, so let's talk about that grand plan. The foundational idea here is that you can't just teach things in a vacuum. You need a master plan, a guiding document that ensures every piece of learning is connected, organized, and most importantly, purposeful.
And that master plan, the true blueprint for the entire educational experience, has a name: the curriculum. Honestly, it's probably the single most important document in any education system.
You know, the word itself actually gives us a massive clue. Curriculum comes from the Latin word currere, which means the course to be run. So you can literally think of it as the racetrack for learning. It's not just one class or one subject, it's the entire planned experience a school has to offer. And a curriculum is so much more than a simple list of subjects. It gets into the nitty-gritty. It dictates what you learn, how you learn it, when you learn it, the fundamental why behind all of it, and even how we're going to measure if you've actually learned it. It really is the whole shebang. So if this thing is so huge and all-encompassing, how in the world is it built? Well, it really boils down to 4 fundamental building blocks that give every curriculum its structure and its power. First, you have your objectives. Think of this as your destination on a map. What are students supposed to know or be able to do by the end? Second is the content. That's the vehicle, the actual knowledge and skills that will get them there. Third, you've got the learning experiences. This is the road trip itself, the activities and methods used. And finally, evaluation. That's the checkpoint where you see if you actually reached your destination. These 4 pillars hold up every single effective curriculum. Now, this brings us to a really common mix-up. We've all heard the word syllabus, and it gets used interchangeably with curriculum all the time. But they are worlds apart. One is the 30,000-foot view, and the other is the view from the ground. A syllabus is way more specific. You know that document your teacher hands out on the first day of class? The one with the reading list and due dates? That's a syllabus. It's an outline for one particular subject over one specific term. It's a piece of the curriculum for sure, but it is not the whole curriculum.
I love this analogy because it makes it so clear. Think of the curriculum as the entire restaurant menu. It shows you every single dish the restaurant offers, from appetizers to desserts. The syllabus, on the other hand, is just the recipe card for one of those dishes, detailing the specific ingredients and steps for making it.
And the differences really pop when you see them side by side. The scope? A curriculum is massive. It can cover an entire K-12 program. A syllabus is narrow, just one semester. The origin? A curriculum comes from the top, school boards or institutions. A syllabus usually comes directly from your teacher. And here's the most critical distinction. A curriculum is prescriptive. It prescribes the goals. A syllabus is descriptive. It just describes how one teacher plans to meet those goals. So who cares about this distinction, right? Why does it actually matter? Well, it matters a lot because this blueprint doesn't just shape your school days, it shapes society. The choices made in a curriculum, what gets included, what gets left out, influence how an entire generation thinks, the skills they bring to the workforce, and their ability to solve problems. It's that important. So what makes a curriculum a good one? It's definitely not about being rigid. A great curriculum has to be flexible, giving fantastic teachers the room to be creative. It needs to be focused on real development, not just memorizing facts, but learning how to think and collaborate. And above all, a great curriculum has to be inclusive, designed so that every single student has a genuine opportunity to connect with it and succeed. And that point about inclusivity is absolutely critical. Just listen to this. In special education, curriculum is even more important because students with disabilities need adapted teaching methods and individualized learning plans. For these students, a flexible, thoughtful curriculum isn't just a nice idea, it's an absolute necessity. It's what makes learning possible. And at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. It's about equity. It's about opportunity. A great curriculum is basically a promise that every student, no matter their background, no matter their abilities, gets a clear and supportive path to reach their full potential.
So, we've unpacked the blueprint. You now see the difference between the architect's grand design, the curriculum, and the specific building instructions for just one room, the syllabus, which leaves just one final thought for you. Now that you know how the plan is made, if you were handed the pen, what's one thing you would change about that blueprint to build a better future?